wants to take a step back, kind of go back to his family, repair the relationship with his sister, who has lived 5 years without him. Their family has grown up, and obviously they're selling a piece of his childhood.
I keep forgetting that that's part of it. That there are like other people who, in the background, did or didn't keep living their 5 years.
Sam and Bucky were both gone.
Yeah.
And obviously Torres wasn't the kid that helps him, because he said that the Flag Smashers want to get back to what it was like 5 years ago because they think it was better, and he's like, it wasn't.
Yeah, I was super frustrated to find out. So they just don't have anybody that experienced the blip just has bad credit now? Is that the idea? Is that like
it was more?
Yeah,
the way
yeah,
the way they
that
kind of presented
is,
itself.
That is frustrating.
You would think they'd understand.
Yeah, you would think they would, but I think there's a limited amount
of
resources. So what do you do? Nobody's getting along.
It's kind of funny because
it's
in a way,
it's gonna be like us in reality. In 2 years, they're gonna be like, "Oh, what happened to you in 2020?" And you'll be like, "A pandemic,"
and they're gonna be like, "Oh, I don't. You were. Oh,
you were there."
I kind of find it a little funny because
the banks are going to be like,
it's a good
too bad you didn't have any income.
Yep.
Can't help you.
I find it kind of funny because this aftermath of the return is kind of exactly what Thanos was trying to prevent, and in a way he was kind of right. We don't have the infrastructure or the resources.
Don't give him that. Don't give him that.
I'm not
because
saying
he caused this
right.
problem. We would have continued on normally.
I'm not saying
but
he also
he could have just
the
made
world
more
had to take
resources
5
instead
years
of
to
less
adjust to
people.
having happen.
I'm not saying that Thanos is wrong.
He could have made more resources.
I'm not saying that Thanos is right. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh no.
But this scenario.
That's the
this scenario is kind of exactly what he was trying to prevent, and in turn caused.
Or should you just make more resources?
Right. So what it's just like us. What are we doing now?
We also have to remember Thanos was crazy.
It's very. I thought you were going to say it's similar to what's happening now in a way, because it's just kind of ironic. I mean, I don't think that they planned this. They had planned it well before. I mean, Feige had his list, and how funny is it that like you start thinking about
life
what
imitates art.
Yeah. In a big way, I think. It's very weird because we are going to have those problems in a few years. They're going to be like, well, what did you do for, why don't you have...
We are going to have those people who are like, man, I missed, just staying at home or, like, not going to places or or... I don't know. To be fair, when it comes to most of the stuff, like wearing a mask, like, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that will forever be an option to me of just like I can put on a mask if I want to, like.
Well, one of those.
Wait! I just realized. I just had a realization that Thanos has a poverty mindset. That's what the problem is. He's a guy who's been fixing something with duct tape for so long that when he finally got money, he was just like, I can afford so much duct tape.
It's funny because you're absolutely right. Crazy. You hit that nail on the head.
Oh, it's great.
He is. He didn't
think I could just buy like a drill now. Like I could
we didn't duct tape anymore. Yeah.
Like so much time.
Accomplish so much more.
And the other thing that kind of happens and that kind of struck me a little bit is that even though Sam is the Falcon and he is known throughout the world, he can't get a loan. He can't get a small business loan. He can't get an anything loan.
And prior to that, because they were talking about selling the boat and everything, I'm like, surely they got like some sort of pay from being Avengers. Like, I'm sure Tony left money to people.
But it's such a weird thing to think about because it's not real. I have a really hard time with it. I get why they're bringing it in.
Yeah,
I get how they're bringing this in. I get that they're bringing this in, and it's important to see what happens to these characters that we really care about. But overthinking it is too much for me. It's like, didn't Tony pay him? Tony should have paid him. Tony had money to pay him.
And everyone's like, why doesn't he just call Pepper? Like, does he even know Pepper?
That's the other thing. It's like, it's not... Okay, again, when you were saying it's not real life. So we get that they're bringing in a little bit of real life, but you have to remember that for one thing, he would get the loan. You know that Falcon would walk in there and get the loan because he's Falcon.
But I disagree.
Would. I don't.
Well, because the other thing you have to remember,
because he would.
5 years of not being around. Obviously, that does something, and then another thing you have to remember, and that I think a lot of people forgot. Up until Infinity War and Endgame, they were straight up convicts. Like they were fully on the run from all the world's government.
Well, then you know what? Maybe that's another duct tape move. Maybe he just went too low.
Yeah.
Like his name is worth something. You know what I mean? Maybe
that's what I'm saying.
Possibly, but he doesn't want to be the Falcon.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But how? If you want to really analyze it, then how'd they make money for their 2 years when they were on the run?
They did.
It's like. Okay, so how'd they live? They had to do something. I'm just saying.
I mean,
it's like you can go so deep that it becomes.
Well, yeah, and the only
country taken care of too.
I mean, it's like asking where they go to the bathroom. It's too much.
This is too much, and we need to just.
Silly.
Like, I get why they did that. I get that they need that, and they need to bring in for his childhood, for his sister, for the whole thing. They're making, something where he's going to have to be around to help her. They're making it so he has a reason to be with his family, and developing so we know more about him. Yeah. But yes, I am like,
and at the very least,
don't ask stupid questions.
This
like,
is not
who paid the Avengers.
This
I don't
isn't
care.
us like digging way too deep. They did present us this
right
on a platter and go like, what you think about it, and kind of go.
I get that, but I'm like, I don't want to. That's not the place I want to go. Where I want to go. Did Tony pay him or did?
Well, yeah, it's weird because you see the resources that were at their disposal, and you think that means that they had means, but that's like working at Disney. Yeah. Like, you're not a rich guy because you work in a place that's worth billions of dollars. Yeah. You just work there. Like, you're just part of it.
They provide you certain things.
I load the magic carpet ride. That doesn't mean I own it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. People were like, where did Wanda get a car? How did she learn to drive a car? I'm like, oh, my God, please stop. Stop.
She's a full-fleshed out adult. She probably learned how to drive
But you've got to stop. There has to be a point where you go, there aren't Avengers.
Yeah, it's just part of the story. Like,
just calm down and just enjoy what we're giving, which they're giving us like something for him and his sister to work on together.
And people love a knit, and they love nothing more than to pick a knit.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I don't need that. That takes my fun away.
So to kind of steer us in a more fun direction, we can analyze a little bit of the new villains in the Flag Smashers.
Oh yeah, I like how
I 100% do not think they're villains.
Oh no,
at all.
that's what I keep saying. I'm like,
they are presenting them in
making
a very
her
good
so
way.
Sympathetic. There is no way she's just going to be.
Little girl, homie, is she the one from Solo?
Yes,
she is.
Okay, so it would be the same vibe.
Wait,
she's Empress Nest from Solo.
Oh God, I don't even remember.
The mask.
The same exact
lady girl. Yeah.
No.
Lady woman. I'm sorry.
But I don't remember.
She looks so baby.
Solo.
Is she grown?
She's the leader.
Yeah, she's full grown. She's like 29.
Yeah, I don't remember Solo. Is what I'm saying.
No, I
know.
Of their resistance cause.
The best thing that ever happened was I had watched it, and I had James come watch it before he went to work on Friday's second episode, and he's like. He picks out, he's like, hi! And it's like, you get to see Bucky kind of smile. And he comes out and he says, Sam's like, what's happening? I found the hostage. And James goes, did he now? Did you now? And I was like, James, you know too much. Because you were like,
well,
she made it. Yeah. I just love the fact that she just smiled at him and then threw him out of the back.
Well, one of the things I like about
this, I'm like, the second I saw that there was a person in the truck, I was like, yeah, that's not a hostage. That's definitely one of them. So,
yeah,
I knew it was a trap.
Yeah, one of the I really like the introduction of the Flag Smashers because the Flag Smasher in the comics is a single guy. Named Carl Morgenthau.
And she's Carly.
And
she's
Carly. This is Carly Morgenthau, but it's still great. And it is one of the enemies of Captain America that Captain America looks at and goes, I really like your cause, and I really like you. I hate how you're going about this. Like, because the entire idea of the Flag Smashers is something I, as a person, quite like. The dissolution of borders, creating a one world united people. And Cap was, in the comics at least, super on board with that idea. And like, yeah, but the Flag Smashers in the Flag Smasher in the comic is a terrorist, and he does terrible things in order to achieve his goal.
That's a weird creative choice, like conceptually. Just as the very basic idea of like a captain one country is like, I'm all about like.
Well, the thing is, Captain America is not ever blindly patriotic. That's the difference in him and John Walker, which we're gonna see.
Yes, which is something that we go into
John
deeper.
Walker,
the U.S. agent Captain America, new Captain America.
Fake Captain America.
Yeah, which is another thing I kind of hope we explore. This new Captain America is still a soldier. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the things that was nice about Steve Rogers is that he stopped being a soldier. He in fact was very adamant about not being under the thumb of government.
Right.
Because the government will restrict him from doing good. And this new Captain America, this John Walker U.S. agent, is very pro-government, like, I will be the... And I know he carries a shield, but I will be the sword arm of the government. Which is
think about it like that.
Yeah,
yes.
Which is why when they're on that truck fighting and he pulls that gun, it infuriates me to my core.
He's government.
I appreciate that it shows the difference between
it
them.
did.
Yes.
It's a striking difference.
Mm-hmm.
I even had to ask James about it. It's such a striking difference between the two of them. To me,
they've done a fantastic job of that.
Well, they did a lingering shot on the gun so that you would notice it for sure.
But I have some joy out of the fact that they're so freaking corny. The two of them. He jumps down the thing and they do like the not fist bump, but they like bump.
They have that pose.
They're so cool.
Yeah, but then when he throws,
and Bucky and Sam are just like.
And when he when he throws down
I'm making all the sound effects for your guys' facial expressions today.
And when he throws down the shield and he puts the guy in. I like the other guy. I like him. I think he's kind of nice.
Battlestar, is that what he calls himself?
I thought he was. I think he strikes me as a good person. He's just
a wingman. I love him.
He's a wingman. He is an actual wingman.
He is John Walker's
friend.
Yeah.
But he's a friend too, and they've obviously grown up together.
A history with
They have a history, and they've grown up together. And when they do the things where they're like, like thumbs up, we did it, we're so cool. That is actually real because you would do that with your friend that you've known since high school.
Oh yeah.
And I don't have any trouble with that. I don't have any trouble with them being corny, and the fact that one other thing in that fight though. You have trouble with it?
No, I just think it's funny that like. Bucky is just
he's so broody.
So like poignant all the time, very not
fun, not
fun, but he's just
not happy.
He takes himself very seriously.
Yes.
Yeah.
He takes everything seriously,
and it's a symptom of what he's been through.
Right, exactly.
But it's just I appreciate that as another contrast.
It is. It's another contrast. Mm-hmm. But I said it's amazing. If you notice at one point, he just catches the shield and throws it back over to him, and I'm like, wow, that was just cool.
Oh,
You don't notice. But realized in the comics that Battlestar and U.S. Agent are in the comics, and they have gotten powers from the power brokers, right? And he is obviously, but they don't. They obviously don't. Well, they are not super soldiers.
So
there is no way. When he had no. Oh no! Wait a second. When he had no, he may get him later. But when he had no shield and he came up to that girl, she just kicked him right off the back.
So we're kind of entering theory territory at this moment.
Okay.
Because one of the things about Captain America is how he was able to do certain things with his shield. And it is explained in both the movies and in the comics that a big part of the reason that Cap could throw his shield around like a yo-yo and catch it is because the super soldier serum specifically gave him the mental processing speed to be able to do those calculations on the fly. That's a snap. I'm sorry for the recording. So one of the things that the super soldier serum gave him was the ability to use that. And when I saw the promo video for John Walker, where he's doing that training with the shield, the first thing that went through my head is somebody enhanced this man.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you pay attention during the fight scene, he only ever does hit, return, hit, return, hit, return. He never does a multi-hit.
That's true.
Which it was Cap's signature
in
battle.
That's true.
Cap would hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it would come back.
He's done the work. He has done the work. I don't
well,
care.
maybe, and we need to see more.
I don't care if he gets to say that, but there is no way. He walked up to her and he punched. He missed her. He wasn't even close. She threw him, and she's a tiny little girl.
But she's.
I also think
she's enhanced. He's not. It's
maybe.
quite obvious to me that he's not enhanced. Battlestar's not enhanced. Battlestar was getting his, you know what, kicked.
But I mean, truth be told, Cap got his butt handed to him by Bucky a couple of times, and they're both enhanced. Like, so it's not unheard of, is all I'm saying. It's not
right. I just don't think he is.
Yeah, at this
My
point,
first
all
point
of that
was
is
that
purely theory.
Yes,
especially if it felt like an underestimating situation. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they were trying to make it clear that
he's
not enhanced, I think, because, or at least not in the same way that Cap is, and he might be genetically enhanced in some way that may or may not be clear to us now. Because they were saying they were running tests on me, so I was getting like a mutant vibe from him, like born that way,
maybe.
kind of.
But speaking of that
would be interesting.
I just want to explore the fact that his father is Kurt Russell.
Oh,
and when he turns on the side, you didn't know that?
My mom just told me that. Like
now that I think about his face,
when he turns and you get a profile,
but I guess now,
but his dad is ego.
His dad is ego. But not only that, his mom is Goldie Hawn.
Yes.
And if you look at him, you go, "Oh my God, that is exactly what their kid would look like."
Yeah. No.
And I was like,
"It's funny how genetics do that."
It is funny, but it's like I wondered to James if they are the only father-son who's been in the actors that have been in the MCU. So I wanted, if you guys think of any,
I'm going to say on a technicality, no, because the Russo brothers, I think, have both made cameos, and their children have made cameos.
Oh, well,
I thought you were going to say that the Russo brothers were father-son
or something like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like something. But
there's a lot of time shenanigans involved.
I just
it's like the Gleasons of the Harry Potter universe, because they are both prominent roles, but not really playing related to each other, even though they are father and son.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know.
But I thought that was cool.
Mad-Eye Moody and Bill Weasley are father and son.
Oh, didn't
in
know
real
that.
life.
That's funny.
I didn't know that.
I don't know much about it.
You
But
learn
the other
things
thing
every
I
day.
wanted to point out was that he was also in Black Mirror, which we had talked about watching. But he's not the only one. Anthony Mackie has been in Black Mirror. We talked about last week. What I can never say her name. Michonne. What's her
Michonne?
real?
Oh, I can't say her name either. I call her Okoye, even though that's not her real name.
I call her Michonne.
No, but I know. Not that's what I say. Okoye.
Yeah.
Okoye.
Yeah, and she was fighting with the guy from Get Out.
Oh.
And I don't know. He was also in Black Mirror. And James and I were introduced to Letitia Wright because she was in Black Mirror. So I need to start looking and seeing how many MCU people have been in Black Mirror, which I think is really
I think
I'll
that's
throw another one at you.
Who's
which
that?
is Miley Cyrus.
Has she been in MCU?
She was in the MCU. You're right.
in-
She was in Guardians.
At the end of Guardians
Guardians
2, she was one of the old
she
Guardians with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
She was the robot
really?
head.
Yeah.
Good for her!
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I just watched
James
that
Gunn was
episode.
like, I saw
That was
her
a
on
great
TV
pick.
and was like, I need her voice for something. Like,
She does have an
fair
interesting
enough.
voice. But I just watched her episode of Black Mirror, and I was pretty happy with it. So that's funny. So that I want to know about that more if there's more people. But anyway, obviously,
Good second technicality find.
Yeah,
there.
wow.
Good for you. But it is funny that he's you mentioned genetics because he's their son, but he might be. I don't know.
So
I
now
just
if we
don't
can
see
get Billy
if
Ray
he's
Cyrus
well,
in the Marvel universe,
and kind of dipping further into. So sorry, I almost spilled my bottle of water because I talk with my hands.
Joel saw this.
So, one of the kind of dipping. I'm trying to keep it on track, but I just gave myself a heart attack. So, kind of dipping further into the theory territory. When I saw that they were fighting on the truck, and I saw John Walker, because I refuse to call him Captain America. John Walker in Battlestar.
He's U.S. agent, right?
Yes, he is. He will be
just call him U.S. agent.
So when U.S. agent and Battlestar drop in, something about that scene just struck me in a way, and I looked at Emily and I went, "The Flag Smashers are fake." Like not in that they're fake, like they aren't like an actual organization, but more in that they're fake in that they were created to be an adversary to the new Captain America so that he could beat an enemy and be seen as glorious.
They're the Washington Generals.
I do not understand that reference, but I'm going to nod my head.
That's who the Harlem Globetrotters used to play all the time.
Sports.
They're
Yes,
like
sports
the
ball.
Washington Generals are like 1 and 3,000 or some horrible
they
score
never
like that.
never beat the Harlem
They're
Globetrotters.
like, I'm sure that Carly Morgenthau and her troupe of Flag Smashers genuinely believe in the idea that they're pushing forward, but they are going to. My theory is that they are going to end up been a creation of another entity to make sure that the new Captain America becomes beloved.
Maybe. And who
Because
sent her an email?
Why else would they?
So
text.
what you're saying is, okay, so
They're a big
whatever
creation.
shady pulling the strings.
We'll call them the deep state. No,
The
I'm just
deep-
kidding.
yeah.
Let's not
No,
do that.
the power brokers.
Yeah,
the
we'll
power
call them
brokers
that,
are
yeah.
going, all right, we're making a new Captain America. We want to make him look heroic. Let's find a little, like, splinter group. A little group
But
of
they're
people
all
who
enhanced.
have a bunch of people who have a cause
And
and
we
give
enhance
them all a
them?
bunch of superpowers
Give them powers.
and turn them loose. And
then
then
set
let
off
Captain
no way
America
of
go
no,
defeat
yeah,
them.
Captain America, Captain
I'm not calling. We're
America
not
U.S.
calling
agent.
it.
U.S. agent.
can beat them.
Well,
He obviously can. He
but
didn't
if
do a very
they're-
good job.
But if they're in control of all of it, they could also go. So you've been because another thing that
Remember,
seems
Power
weird,
Broker was coming to get them, and that's why they had to leave so
was
quickly.
it Power Broker? And who texted her and told them that they know what you did, I'm going to kill you?
and that's another thing.
That's another layer.
Well, yeah, it's one of
Is it
those
them?
things where if there's a power broker that did give them their powers, and he also wants to make Captain America look good, there's a certain point where he can go, okay, I'm withdrawing my support of you, because how else do the Flag Smashers get this worldwide following if not being supported by something? So if that support is pulled from them and given to the new Captain America, well, look, now you've got a heroic man going out and stopping the evil Flag Smashers.
He wasn't just removing support. He said, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
I know what you did, I'm going to kill you. So
Well, I don't know that. I don't know
pretty
who
sure-
that was.
So I
That's
think
what I'm
what
saying.
I think in that case, if we're going with that theory, would be that, like, maybe we get this little group and we give them powers and then we tell them what to do, and that Carly was like, no, we need to actually save people. Let's use our powers to steal medicine and take it to these groups of people who need it, who can't have it, and that the power broker or whoever it is like, yeah, that was not part of the plan. You were supposed to go, like, attack this bank wherever, like, just do petty crime stuff. Which would actually make sense to the fact that, like, they seem very
sympathetic.
Well, they also seem like, I mean, just, like, that first episode where we see what the Flag Smashers are doing, they do not seem like they intend to hurt anybody outright.
Yeah.
Except they did. Torres.
When confronted.
Only when somebody tried to stop
They
him.
didn't just run up to him and, like, body
I get
him.
that.
He went up and was like, I'm going to stop you. Literally went, I don't know how jurisdiction works, but I'm going to stop you. And
Don't be playing with my boy Torres. I love him.
And also, to
love
be
his
fair,
heart.
they could have killed Torres.
They could have.
And chose very specifically not to.
But what were they
Well,
doing?
they could have killed a lot of people too, but instead they set it up as a way to steal whatever that was in a way that didn't hurt anybody necessarily by giving everybody the masks and using that as like a
inciting chaos
and then
rather than going in and
vaccines,
killing people.
So, which is a good deed ultimately.
Yeah.
But you don't know that because who are they? When you take vaccines from somebody or to somebody, you're taking them from somebody else, and they're deciding worth. They're deciding that.
Right, that's.
Literally, I was just about to say it's the train job.
Yeah, it's literally the train job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't. I have to see more of them before I can decide. I know they're portraying them.
They're being shot very sympathetically. We wouldn't get lingering shots on her sad face, scared face if she wasn't going to be a somewhat sympathetic character in some way or form.
We wouldn't get a shot of them going into their new home temporarily and having people be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for what you're doing."
Well, but they don't. But you still, yes, you would because they're bringing vaccines to who you think
you wouldn't get that shot of them if they were just villains.
Yeah,
right.
you would.
Like they didn't do that for those kind of shots for what's his name that fought Cap in the elevator.
Oh, Crossbones.
Yeah,
Crossbones. Yeah, you don't get that for Crossbones.
You don't
because
get that
Crossbones is a Nazi.
Is a villain. Like, and...
Well, he's stealing a point. He's stealing, like, what, a virus that's going to kill people?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you never
We never got any shots or any attempt to give him any sort of sympathy whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was...
These characters are being portrayed...
We basically never even got much about him at all other than... He bad guy.
Well, yeah, but that's the nature of that specific character.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and they needed
that.
Does a good job
and that's the point. It was that simple. That's why they only gave you that much. They wanted it to
they could have a gratuitous shot of him checking into a hotel and like turning the AC down and all this stuff, but why would they give him humanity if it doesn't matter?
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying.
They're giving them a lot more humanity.
They're giving a lot of people humanity who you don't like. You don't like a U.S. agent, and they gave him humanity.
Well, because I think they're trying.
He's not a bad guy.
He's not a bad guy.
Not
yet.
We'll get into that.
Well, you can get into theories, but right now he is not a bad guy. He works for the government, and he's a very good government worker.
I think that the last interaction that we have with him in the second episode, where he is talking to them, gave me very, very bad vibes. When he looks at them and says, "If you're not gonna help me, stay the hell out of my way." Gave me very villain vibes. He's not a bad guy, but he is he seems to be very quickly making that turn towards
the moves he has potential.
Well, the
moves have potential to go either way.
It's Donald Trump vibes is what it is.
It's very authoritarian.
But it's like if you don't do the thing that I like, we're enemies now. Okay, that.
Yes.
Now we have problems.
Yes.
Which that gets into that.
Which also isn't the way Steve operated. Like he and Tony had their differences, but he would never
never stay out exactly. But the thing is,
fact,
were you ever thinking about this? Even if it's Sam as Captain America, and I'm sure he's going to get there eventually. He's not still going to be Steve. He's not going to be like Steve. We're going to have differences. That's what I think. And I think that we need to be like.
But we're going to have more acceptable differences.
Is that what you're saying?
I also think that's a big. To an earlier point with whether or not a U.S. agent is enhanced in any way, I do think the idea that the multi-hit boomerang sort of situation is Steve's signature.
Yes.
We don't want to take away from that. No matter how much we say somebody else is also enhanced or whatever, it's like I think you'd have to leave something to be his.
Well, I mean, Bucky does it. When Bucky's in possession of the shield, he multi-hit with the shield as well because Bucky is enhanced and is capable of making that move.
Okay.
I think with the attitude they have about calling themselves the nicknames and stuff, I don't think they would have saved a move out of respect because I don't think they would see it as disrespect.
No. I mean,
because they don't
from a
see
writing
using
standpoint.
the name
I don't think they care anything about Captain America. Like, they don't care about Steve. The government doesn't care anything about Steve.
Big. Yes.
I think the guy, I think U.S. agent, when he talks about him, and it pisses off Bucky, is the fact that he's saying, "I admire him," and of course he would. What person in the government? You look like you don't believe that he would admire him. Of course he would admire him.
Not that. I don't think the line that made him mad.
The line that made him mad is that he becomes overly familiar with the idea of Steve.
Yes.
When he says,
Bucky
"I never met
Steve."
He says, but I think he could be my brother.
Yeah,
I get that. He's my brother.
I get that.
See, but I don't feel like there's any sincerity in that, because he did say that during that interview thing.
Yes.
But I can see why that would make someone angry.
I see what I mean, but I disagree that it doesn't lack sincerity, because I think he is sincere. He had a conversation with his wife and with his friend, and he thinks he's done the work, and he thinks that he can follow in his footsteps. He's wrong, but naive. He thinks he can.
He's naive. On the gravity of what he's grabbing at.
Yes, and what he's saying, and when he says to Sam, "I could use basically a good wingman," and that's when Sam's like, "I'm out." Yeah. My favorite thing by far is when he's like, the guy comes down from a helicopter. He's not just, what's his, Lamar Holden or something like that. What's the guy's name? Sam says,
Battlestar?
First he says his name. He says, "My name is
I can't remember his name.
And then Sam says, "No, a guy flies down from a helicopter. You aren't just Lamar."
Yeah, that's when he goes, I need for when I say, "Who are you?" That's like,
he goes, I need something else, and he's like, "I'm Battlestar," and I just love the fact that that's
goes,
like, stop the car. It's like, Bucky just can't.
Yeah,
Bucky's like,
because
no.
Well, and I think here's the other thing I think about that scene.
God. It was great.
I think it's exactly what you guys said. He doesn't grasp what he is taking on, that mantle that he is taking on, because to him, Captain America is a title to be passed. To Bucky and Sam, Captain America was Steve, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah, but also I do, and I see him as the way he sees himself is different than the way all of us are ever going to see him, because he sees himself as, I've done the work. I keep saying that, but he thinks that, and does that make him inherently a villain? No. Or a bad person? No, it doesn't. It makes him be a good.
Get on your nerves. That's all it does.
It makes him on your
poser, basically, at this point.
Yeah, and that's what's happening with everybody.
I would say at this point in the show, he's not a villain. He's not a good guy. He could go either way, and it's the same as if somebody who you never met, like, came up to you and told you that your mom was just like their mom, and like, "I love your mom like she's my mom," and you're like, I don't even know you. How do you talk about my mom to me like that?
Somebody said that to my friend the other day. We're walking around, and my friend's dad is running this big like church event, right? He's a pastor that knows all these other whatever pastors, and some stranger comes up and just like, I know him so well. I've known him for so long, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, this is his son. Like,
it's the over-familiarity.
It's like, don't you not think that's what everybody feels about famous people?
Yeah,
no, but they don't really know them, and that's the problem.
Right, but that's not atypical.
It's like if I went up to Chris Evans's girlfriend or wife, and I said, "I love him so much," and she's like, "I love him."
But it happens every single day to people all the time. That's what they're portraying. They're portraying that.
It's not atypical. It is rude.
Yeah. It is. That's fine, but they're portraying something that people believe. They believe that people are characters. They don't even believe that they're the person that they are in real life. They don't even believe that Chris Evans is Chris Evans. They don't believe that. I used to go all the time to Super Soap Weekend, and people would be like telling people, like yelling at people to look at them.
Which, by the way, was not like a detergent festival.
No, it was like soap opera people.
Operas.
So it's actors and actresses that are in soap operas. And people would be like, yelling at them.
Yeah.
Patrick, their name of their character. And most of them were like, I'm not looking at you. And then you'd say James, and they would look at you and you could take a picture of them.
Yeah.
Because you have to separate that. I mean, how many people have told stories about people coming up to them and threatening them or being mad at them because they played a character that was a villain? People have that familiarity with famous people.
Rainn Wilson famously tweeted an interaction with a fan. They're like, Dwight, I'm your biggest fan, and he was like, "What's my name?" They didn't know.
Yes, it's a symptom of that's I think what they're portraying there, and I get that Bucky doesn't like, but you don't like it. It's just part of our society.
I get that.
But that's what makes it part of our
society. It's a bad part of our society. It's not a good thing.
To bring back Harry Potter.
I haven't seen Zack Snyder's Justice League yet, so I wouldn't know if we live in a society or not.
But it's the same old people hate Umbridge more than Voldemort. Like he's the big bad. But she's real. Like you're like, I've really seen that. I can't stand that.
Well,
it's like,
here's the
little.
I just think that we're taking. You're really mad about something that happens every single day, exactly. And I'm like, I'm just going
because it's still bad. Like,
but what happened? What would you like? Who's the most like famous person that you would love to meet? Like
that I would love to be
meet.
Oh.
Like, do you think you might be like, if you got to meet this person, do you think you might be like perfect, or you think you might be a little inappropriate if you met him? Like,
absolutely.
You don't know what to say if you meet a famous person. I'm just saying.
No,
a lot of
it's different when that person he's taking on the legacy.
He's attempting to overtake that legacy.
Yes.
It's not the same as just meeting a famous person.
No, he's not meeting.
But
Steve
famous,
Rogers
I know, but I'm just saying.
It would be
but
like
famous
meeting
people
the
say it all the
family
time.
of a recently deceased celebrity and being like, hey, I'm the new your family member.
It happens all the time. It's like, how does when I'm using an example, and I don't think this is correct. When Britney's like, I'm the new Madonna, or Rihanna says this or that, or these things, people are saying things to each other all the time. It's just our society, and it's a reflection of our society.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know you guys don't like it, but I don't get why you guys care.
But Britney wasn't saying that to Madonna's friends and family, and
I bet she was.
Madonna didn't die,
and that's
in order to get to that point.
But I'm just saying that people say that stuff all the time, and I just go,
I mean, that doesn't.
I don't care about it.
It doesn't bother you, but it can bother.
It can bother anybody, but I don't understand it.
But I think we're not asking the real important question about the new Captain America. Is he Mephisto? Quite possibly. Well, no, but
with that chin.
I actually want to.
Yeah, he could be.
I don't want to derail us too far, but I really want to talk about this before we reach the end of this episode. The scene with Isaiah Bradley. Which is a.
Yes.
Oh, just fantastic scene.
It's Carl Lumbly.
Well, yeah, but I don't know what he's from.
Alias.
I've never watched Alias.
Oh, watch Alias.
I'm completely not following.
You
remember
recognize
those two names.
Okay, so the old black man.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So
he takes the thing and throws it in the wall, and Sam's just like,
he's like,
what?
So.
That was spectacular. So well acted.
If you guys don't mind, I'll give a little bit of a comics lore.
I read up on it, so go ahead.
On Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, go ahead.
He is the first black Captain America. So when Cap got frozen, the U.S. government went, well, shoot, we need a new Captain America. And did horrible, terrible things to a group of black infantrymen. And it was a group of 300 that they proceeded to run tests and experiments on to create a new super soldier. Of the 300, only one survived. Isaiah Bradley. He operated as Captain America for the U.S. government for 20 years or something, and then was immediately forgotten about and thrown in jail. he was in the comics. He was famously the Captain America of the Vietnam War.
Okay.
And he operated as Captain America and then was thrown in prison and forgotten about. And the slew of drugs and hormones that they shot him up with eventually drove him insane. So to see him portrayed in the MCU is amazing.
He's a great actor.
He is a great actor.
And just, I'm like, still
just
like,
everything about that scene was
powerful.
Yeah, it was just like all the implications of like, just, oh man. No.
Yeah, it was great. And
it followed immediately by the...
I love the immediate next scene with their argument in the street and the cops coming up. Oh, what a statement.
Yeah, it is a very big statement. It's and I love what specifically Sam says about it. You didn't feel the need to tell me that there was a black Captain America when I was a kid. Like...
But I understand Bucky too, saying
like
he'd been through enough.
Yes.
He's protecting him, like the poor guy, and I'm like, I understand that too. He's never even told Steve.
Both sides are very right on this one.
Yeah.
Isaiah Bradley had been through so much and been tormented his entire life for serving his country.
Yeah.
To then put him through you're the first black Captain America fanfare would have been too much. Yeah. But on the other hand, I do kind of think that Bucky should have at least told Steve and Sam.
Well, he brought Sam in.
Yes, he did bring Sam in, which,
Bucky. What? Sam brought Bucky in.
No,
Bucky brought Sam in.
On the,
sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot. Other way around.
Bucky,
you guys are
Bucky
right. Don't mind me.
I think Bucky's trying so hard.
He is.
Bucky is trying so hard. You can just see it.
I think one of the things he is trying to do is trying to show Sam that he could be Cap. Yeah. That he could be the new Captain America, and that would be acceptable.
And I think he's trying to show him that he can be a friend to him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and then you get into that powerfully delivered line, if Cap was wrong about you, that makes him wrong about me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does say maybe, but you can tell kind of by the way that Sebastian Stan masterfully delivers that line that it's not a maybe. It's if he was wrong about you.
That's the one hope I'm sitting on right now. Like,
that maybe I'm something because Steve thought I was something.
Yeah.
And he thought you were something.
Oh, that whole scene is just
They did
incredible.
a great job with it. They have the funny and they have the movie.
They're doing
which the MCU does great with that, I think.
Their little legs interlocking. So.
Them going like this.
That's why I say she's not a horrible therapist. That's a great move.
Yeah.
No, it's funny.
It's funny. It's a terrible move. Yeah.
I love the the miracle game or miracle whatever is, and one's like absolutely not, and the other one's like no way at the same time because I have captioning on because I watch everything with caption.
Oh yeah.
And they're both like,
nope.
And then they're like, but we're gonna do the soul gazing thing, and Bucky's like, oh yeah, we got this.
Absolutely not.
He's like, oh yeah, I know this one.
Let's do this one. And so.
I like that they aren't friends.
They're not. They're not friends.
Because it would have been so easy for the writers of this show to kind of just yada yada, Bucky and Sam are friends.
Right.
And
they're still at the can you move your seat forward stage.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's
I hate you.
Yeah, well, because one of the only thing that connected them was Steve.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So without Steve, are we friends?
So now they have to go from tolerating each other on either side of Steve to finding the actual bridge between them.
Right.
And being friends.
And
so from a mutual friend to just basically a mutual enemy that's bringing them together.
And why don't they like each other?
Both times Captain America.
Well, the question is, why don't they like each other? People have asked that. So I just wanted your guys' opinion.
Because they both have little snarky personalities.
I get that. They're very much too much alike.
And if Bucky had never been through the stuff that made him Winter Soldier, and he was still the kid that lived next door to Cap, he and Sam would have clicked the same way.
Right.
But all the stuff in between has changed who he is, and he's trying to find himself again. back.
I agree.
He's never gonna be the kid that helped Steve out anymore. He's never gonna be that again. And so Sam's never gonna meet that part of him in that way. But if they had met, if Sam had been their other neighbor, he would have been friends with all three of them. All three would have been best friends.
Mm-hmm. See, I like that a lot better than they're just both jealous of each other because they were friends with Steve. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. These are grown men, and they're
there might be a teeny tiny bit of jealousy, but that
I don't think
if anything, I kind of think
I would think
that
maybe just from Bucky's perspective, because he actually did miss out. Like he missed out on
yes, exactly. So I can see Bucky being a little bit like, who's this new guy?
And from Sam's perspective, I could see a little bit of why was he friends with you? Like,
no,
what did you bring
I see
to
him
the
almost.
table?
I see him almost like as seeing him as a bad guy still.
Yeah,
he has to turn. So he's like, well,
why did Cap like you?
Yeah,
what was
he
your
has
deal?
to. Somebody pointed out he hosted. He used to work at the VA and host people who had PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Do those things. Why doesn't he see that in Bucky? Because somebody said he was doing that with his counterparts.
Yes.
Bucky technically for a long time was an enemy.
Yeah,
so
he's not a brother in arms.
He's not a brother in arms. He's an enemy. So
he's just the one.
Oh my God.
Brother in arm.
Brother in arm. Yeah.
Why do you wear those gloves? Circulation. Those questions are going to come.
Oh, well, no, I guess, most people would know who the Winter Soldier is by this point.
We were just saying,
why didn't he know?
Well, how recognizable would his face really be? Like,
one, Bucky usually wears a mask.
Right.
And two, it's kind of that Clark Kent scenario.
Yeah.
Where you
also, he's cleaned up, his hair's cut.
Yeah, you don't want to see it, so you're not
he's
going
not wearing his smoky eye.
And you can't literally see the giant metal arm, so I feel like, honestly, you could probably just wear a long sleeve
and he
jacket.
wasn't marketed. You know what I mean? Like the Avengers, were like...
That's true.
Yeah.
The only time the Winter Soldier would have been marketed was in Civil War when the entire world was hunting him.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're right.
And that he looked very different at that time.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
And if you weren't a vigilante hunter, you probably didn't pay that close of attention to it.
And I really agree with...
If it didn't happen in your country, of course.
With Emily, if Bucky and Sam had met in 1937 when The Hobbit was released.
Brilliant line, by the way.
Well, yeah, that whole interaction.
Oh,
the big three.
The big three.
Wizards, what is it? Wizards, aliens, and...
Androids.
Androids,
Which
that's
androids have they fought?
Ultron.
Ultron. Yeah.
Ultron.
Okay. So I'm like, I guess. So I was like, because technically Vision is a synthesoid.
Vision is, but
they're gonna count that.
Yeah, it's one of the. Well, yeah, it's one of those things.
But I just thought that was funny. It's like
Bucky's arm.
What about
how you know about Gandalf?
Yeah, what about Doctor Strange? He's a sorcerer. That's just a wizard without a hat.
Yeah, it's really.
I just made that up right now.
It's really fun.
They do.
They do have that chemistry that they could be friends.
Yes.
But then Bucky's trauma and Sam's refusal to see anywhere past that trauma.
Right now, they're just being big grumpy boys. They need to...
They'll get
but they have fun every
They're
once in a
They're
while.
have more fun
right now, and they'll get there.
Like when Red Wing is destroyed. Tears for Red Wing.
Yeah. But I just think it's funny. It's
just
like, I
always
wanted to do that.
that.
And see, I watched that scene, and she just like jumps and grabs it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like it was made out of vibranium. Right?
No, but
she does just kind of dunk on it.
It's totally like it feels like she's fed up with it too. Like, all right,
I'm pretty mad at you, Fred.
I think Bucky was especially happy because the footage of him falling flat on his back
was
lost.
Gone too. And somebody even online was like, "What does that mean? Is vibranium markets?" I'm like, "Stop it, please." Stop taking things so seriously.
Yeah.
You can't take this so seriously.
To be fair, the MCU and the writers of the MCU have injected a layer of reality into their stories, which invites nitpicking. They do say, oh, this is still the real world sometimes, but then they want you to forget that it's the real world other times, which is tough.
And I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah,
I want to forget that
some
it's the real
people can
world.
do it.
I can do it every day.
Yeah, some people can do that.
It's
some people
entertainment. I don't. Although I think I was asking James a couple questions, and I went, oh, you don't need to know that. I was asking you. At some point I was asking you ridiculous questions about something. When I first started watching these shows, and I was like, oh my god, I don't.
Actually, I have a logistic question that I think it might even be common knowledge, but I'm pretty sure it's very knowable. What's Bucky's aging situation? Like, what is why and how?
He kept getting cryogenically frozen.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, in Civil War, it was essentially revealed that Hydra so
they'd bring him up for like 5 days at a time and then put him back down.
To kill Iron Man's parents.
Arnim Zola.
So he ages standardly. It's just been.
Well,
he's gonna age the way that Steve aged.
Yes.
Once he finally
slowly
stayed in a country. Because Steve went back to what year to be with Peggy, and then still was alive to meet up with them at the drop point.
Yeah, that's a big. Yeah.
Well,
like the 40s probably.
So the big thing that they haven't really, and they're going to discuss in this show, that the big thing that I think they're going to discuss in the show that they haven't discussed yet is Arnim Zola cracked the super soldier serum. He figured out how to do it. He was the second in command of Hydra.
So you had the Red Skull, little guy with the glasses.
Yeah, kind of looked like Penguin.
He was in First Avenger. He was the little kind of nebbish guy with the glasses.
And
then he becomes a computer, basically.
He's in the computer.
In Winter Soldier, yes.
Yeah, Zola.
Yeah. I think we're going to get Zemo.
Zola.
We are.
We're getting Zemo, for sure.
He cracked the super soldier serum.
Okay.
That was the whole subplot point of Civil War, was that he figured out how to create more super soldiers.
Right.
And he tested it initially on Bucky. So Bucky is a super soldier on the same par that Cap is. Right. They only at the time had enough resources to do it on one person. They chose Bucky. So for the longest time, Bucky was Hydra's Cap. Then right around the 1980s or so, 1990s maybe.
I will say one of the other recipients of an early serum by Zola would have been Red Skull.
Yes. So. No, that one came from Erskine. Red Skull's serum came from Erskine.
Yeah.
Did it? Oh, okay.
Yes. Arnim Zola, in like the 1980s or 1990s, figured out how to make even more of it at a cheaper cost point. That was the 5 super soldiers that you saw in Civil War.
That
Zemo iced.
He put bullets through them while they were still.
Yeah.
So you watched the movies.
That's kind of the
big
kicker here is you got to kind of rewatch.
That was skipped over like a little bit.
It was because of the big fight, but that's why Steve felt it was so necessary to get the whole fight in the German airport is because Steve and Bucky need to get to these super soldiers to prevent them from doing worse things.
Yes.
And so that's the idea of it. And they Iron Man Tony doesn't find out until after Friday tells him that basically they framed Bucky. And then he starts to figure it out, and then he goes talk to Sam, and Sam tells him where they went, and that's how they all end up in the big fight at the end.
Yeah, and so that's a major plot point that for a while seemed like they were never going to pick back up on, and now they're picking back up on it in that, oh wait,
there are still
somebody else cracked that code.
Is it Zemo or is it not?
Zemo's in prison.
He is.
So, because that was my first thought too. Zemo gave these people superpowers.
But you don't know
can
if
still
Zemo
pull strings from prison.
A lot of people do.
A network.
If you have a network. And
which I expect that a Hydra person would definitely have.
But Zemo wasn't Hydra.
He was never Hydra.
No,
he is in the comics, but he was never
Hydra. Wait. He's not Hydra. He was mad about Sokovia.
Okay, but then why they're going to him specifically to ask him stuff about Hydra. They said he knows everything that Hydra did.
Yes, because he went hunting for Hydra
yes.
stuff.
Remember he drowned that guy?
Yeah, he's a Hydra historian, but he is not Hydra.
You're right.
I think I remember that there was a big fight in Civil War, and that's just about all that I remember.
Oh my gosh!
Despite generally
you need to watch that
very
one
positive
again.
Like memories of that movie.
Yeah. You need to watch that one again.
Yeah,
because there's a lot in it.
I just remember Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Oh, and I remember.
To be fair, Civil War was now 6 years ago.
But you guys,
was that the one where Cap pulls a helicopter out of the sky?
Yes,
I remember that too.
Bucky's in the
you know what I remember about that one? Seriously,
he didn't pull the helicopter out of the sky nearly as well as Vin Diesel can.
Because
he can then fly around.
Oh my God! Is Vin Diesel Mephisto?
No, I
that
think
was
he's Groot.
Groot Mephisto.
Oh no!
Groot is Mephisto. Real quick, I have to say that in that movie, I don't even know who I said it to. I was probably with James and our friend Bob at the time, but I just was like, "Who is that?" It was Chadwick Boseman. I'm like, "Who is that?" And they were like, "It's Black Panther." I'm like, "Oh, I've got goosebumps." Right? It's like, "Excuse me, who is this person?" And they're like, "Black Panther." He's gonna get a movie. He's gonna get a movie. I remember being so excited.
So good. They did. Oh, it was. So
it's a heartbreak. We were talking about that in the car. We were talking. The loss of Chadwick Boseman.
I cried.
So
I wasn't even registering that. You just said heartbreaking, and then I was like, wait, what? Oh my.
Yeah.
I forget.
I literally cried for a long time. Speaking of, and I feel like we just kind of talked about. I feel like, how do I be so upset about somebody I've never met, but right now I could still tear up and cry about him. I've never met him.
That's very difficult because of the way celebrity works and the fact that
celebrity works weird, right?
Into your life, and they do become a facet of your day-to-day life,
and you feel like you know them, or at least like it hit me hard because
they made you feel. I mean, they just really
And because he's such a great actor and what he did, but also how I felt, and I could have been wrong, how he led his life outside of acting. He seemed like a really good person. And I was heartbroken. I cried for a long time. Yeah. Like it was somebody I knew. And I was like, then I sat there and went, "You're ridiculous. You don't know him." And I'm like, it is that thing that they come into your life and you feel like they made you feel some way, they've impacted your life because they're a great actor, but also you feel like they are probably a good person. I mean, I'm not going to cry like that when, I don't know what actor, when Miley Cyrus dies, I'm not going to cry like that, but...
One of the things...
Well, she's going to be in Guardians 3, so...
Well, and the context of it, too, it's like he was still just trying to be, a role model and a hero until the end. Like, people didn't even know. It's just like...
Well, and his death brings up the nature of comics is that these characters never die and they never change, never truly. They have their arcs, they have their things that happen to them. Cap has died in the comics half a dozen times, but he always comes back. Steve Rogers is always going to be Captain America. He always comes back. The concern with the MCU is characters never die. Actors do. Actors move on. Actors do different things. So what happens when... And we're facing it right now.
Are they using
of your first string?
I feel like this whole thing with U.S. Agent is almost like it feels like this is what we're going to have to go through. We're going to be Bucky and Sam in the future when they have to replace someone who either is too old to play the part anymore or passed for some reason. We're going to have to look at them and go, how could you stand where he stood?
Yeah. Especially for Black Panther.
And that's a good...
Oh my God, that's a way to bring that around. Very good.
Yeah.
Because we should end now.
We probably should, but yeah.
That's the thing that we're going to have to kind of deal with. Eventually somebody other than Robert Downey Jr., and with the success of superhero movies, somebody else is going to have to play Tony Stark. unless they want to do this idea in the MCU where they are continuously passing down these titles and creating new characters.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's the question of how long does the MCU as it is
exist?
How long?
Because what happens when Anthony Mackie no longer wants to be Falcon, which is possible, and it's not a problem. Like, let him do what he wants to do. But
you're right.
What happens when he no longer wants to be Falcon?
Do you retire the character, or do you
recast, or do you retire the character and hand the shield down to the next person? Maybe America, maybe something else.
Yeah,
it reminds me of
Chris Evans doesn't want to do it anymore.
It reminds me of how
Chris Evans. He didn't want to. He's done.
Like Jim Henson was buried with Ralph, and like there was kind of a like either explicit or just an understanding that like no one would ever play that character again because that was like Jim's character, and obviously people have since played that character. So it's a very
it's a fine line we're gonna work and we're gonna experience it soon.
Show business is very interesting because again.
You're gonna have to choose which one you're gonna be.
I don't think we're ever going to.
I firmly choose Bucky.
I'm Sam.
I don't think we're ever going just looking at the way the market is now and the fact that this has become a staple thing. I don't know that there's ever a point where the MCU just kind of stops.
Yeah.
Like I think this is going to be a permanent fixture because
Feige's
gonna have to
keep
going.
Feige's gonna have to train somebody to take
More
over.
importantly, Sarah Finn is going to have to train somebody to be able to cast like she can.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So they all need to be training somebody to take their position.
Yes, but at what point do you recast somebody as Tony Stark when the entirety of the MCU is built on the foundation of Robert Downey Jr.'s acting
I
prowess?
feel like you don't have to. I feel like there's
you get like
more than enough. You get Ironheart, you get all these other characters. I feel like there's more than enough from the comics that they can start to pull from. And obviously, like, look at how long the comics were around.
They could tell those stories of those people that are...
Iron Man was 2008, right?
But it's going to be weird that we're going to hit a point where that's all that's left. Like we've done the first bigger stuff.
There's the thing though.
Yeah.
Although
comics had
they weren't first stringers though, were they?
Had a 60, 70,
like Iron Man and stuff.
70-year head start. So the comics had 70 years to come up with characters, and now we've 11 years out from Iron Man. We still haven't scratched the surface of that, and in the next 30 years, they're still going to make new comics and new characters. So I think it's a kind of never-ending. I don't think you're ever going to catch up to the point where.
But there,
my grandkids, and your kids.
I would like to see.
Will see a totally different MCU than ridiculous. We grew up with.
Well, but for instance, a good example, there is an upcoming show called Armor Wars, which is based off of a series of comics in which Tony Stark finds out that his suits are being used by other people without his express permission. Not talking about War Machine, and at the time Rescue didn't exist, although I do love Rescue. Anyways, but it's the concept of Armor Wars is that Tony Stark goes on a rampage and just starts dismantling other people's suits. He takes out Whiplash, he takes out a slew of armor-based characters. What do those types of stories look like without the main character of Tony Stark, of Captain America, of and what do those stories then look like?
But I think that is the sort of thing that talented directors, writers, actors, and like leaders like Kevin Feige are going to give us, because I'm sure
I'm excited for it.
Yes, me too.
Like just like how Planet Hulk, you couldn't do comic book Planet Hulk in the MCU, but you could take elements from it, synthesize it, and utilize it within the framework of what we now have.
Oh yeah, I want to be clear that I'm super excited for Armor Wars and all of these various stories and new characters. I'm super excited for it. Because I trust in Kevin Feige and the MCU to make it happen.
We trust him now.
That
was what happened.
It'll work out.
Yep, and then we'll be all invested.
Yeah.
Ooh, what a good closing line.
All right, so on that, this has been the I'm Invested podcast. I have been and will continue to be James.
I am still and forever will be Michael.
I'll be Emily until they recast me.
There it is. I have a different tense, but Joel.
That was good. No, that was solid.
And I will be Pam, and they may recast me because I'm the old one. So
I think we need to relax. We're a little too tense. And with
I've
that,
enjoyed you this episode. This has been a great episode for James.
I was just kidding.
and with that, have fun. Thanks for listening. Bye. I didn't.